This is the infamous Kiki. Welcome to my channel. I got a new little head wrap thing that I ordered a package of them from Amazon. So sometimes y'all see me with a wig on, sometimes y'all see me in my head wrap, um, and my black, my favorite. This is my favorite top, y'all. It's my turtleneck. Y'all see me, trying to get it together. But anyway, welcome to my channel. I'm the infamous Kiki. I am an XJW. I was a Jehovah's Witness. I wasn't born into it. I came into it. I joined the organization when I was 13, and I left by the time I was 24. So I have a whole XJW playlist. If you want to look at my playlist and learn more about my story, go ahead. We're going to talk about the anointed remnant. What's the anointed remnant? How did I get to know someone is anointed remnant? Have you ever known someone personally that's one of the anointed remnant? I don't know anybody who knew someone personally that was one of the anointed. So I find it very interesting when I look around the internet and in Reddit for XJW videos. I don't see a lot of people talking about anointed remnant. So have you known somebody who's anointed remnant? Make sure you put it in the comments. I know most of you are going to watch this on the rewatch. Okay, so that's fine. Um, but welcome. When you come in, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. On my channel, I do all kinds of videos. I do XJW videos. I do videos about online dating too, which kind of, and then I also talk about 90 Day Fiance and life after lockup, life during lockup, which has to do with dating too. Um, and I just talk about things that I know about. I also talk about pop culture and entertainment every once in a while. I may talk about that because I have family members and friends. I wasn't born into Jehovah's Witnesses. Like I said, I didn't choose the JW life. I wasn't born into the JW life. I chose the JW life. So you go back and watch my playlist. I have plenty of anecdotal stories and interesting things. I apologize for my sound. I do have a really fancy mic, but I'm doing this video on my phone because my computer, I don't feel like plugging up my computer. And welcome to everybody here. All the XJWs I know, y'all coming strong. Y'all coming hard and strong on my videos. So I appreciate all the comments. I've had some really lovely comments lately. I've had some really nice people comment and say some nice things. Oh, you just got here. Great subject. Thank you. Welcome, Apostle Babe Linda James. So we're going to talk about the anointed. First of all, for you XJWs, because I know y'all watch my video. Y'all like, what's an anointed remnant? Because it's confusing. So we're just going to read a little tidbit. The Bible teaches that at death, the souls of believers will go to be with the Lord. Now, look, I didn't write this. This is I read online. And after the resurrection, they will spend eternity in a new, quote unquote, New Jerusalem. So the Bible makes it clear that the deceased believers will be with Jesus. Okay, that's what Jehovah's Witnesses believe, that they will be with Jesus in the spiritual realm called heaven. Okay, ultimately awaiting for Armageddon. They're in the heavens waiting for Armageddon, according to Jehovah's Witnesses belief. So all the other dead people will have their physical bodies resurrected on paradise on the new earth. So Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe that when people die that they go to heaven. They believe that you will be resurrected on a paradise earth. Okay, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that only 144,000 persons since the time of Jesus ever can go to heaven. There will be co-rulers with Christ Jesus over the inhabitants of this paradise earth. So all the resurrected ones. They also believe that the soul dies when the body dies and must wait until the resurrection before Jehovah remembers them to be resurrected. So those who are part of the 144,000 will be given spiritual bodies, and everyone else will be given a fleshly body on earth. The 144,000 were mentioned in Revelation 7:4, where it says, "Then I heard the number of those sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel." That's where the witnesses get their 144,000. They take it as to be literal, like 144,000 people. A lot of other religions take it as being a figurative number, but no, Jehovah's Witnesses take it as being a real number. And they say the 144,000 has replaced Israel and the on earth Israel, and that they are the spiritual Jews, so they are anointed. They are God's anointed people, chosen to be with him in heaven. Revelation speaks of a great crowd in heaven that no man can number, but Jehovah's Witnesses says only 144,000 can go to heaven. And that great crowd, they say, are on earth. In 1930, the organization claimed that the number 144,000 had been sealed, and new witnesses will have an eternity on earth rather than in heaven. In 1935, the number of witnesses who believed they were part of 144,000 numbered 52,465. That's interesting. Didn't know that. The number who believed they were heaven bound decreased dramatically over the decades. In 2005, there were only 8,524 people claiming to be part of the anointed remnant. Isn't that interesting? By 2020, the number had increased to 21,182. Wait a minute. By 2020, in the Jehovah's Witness organization, the number of anointed remnant has increased to 21,182. What? Did y'all know this? Apostle Babe, did you know this? That the number claiming to be anointed remnant has increased. Now the watchtower says that the 144,000 would be sealed just before the Great Tribulation starts. What? This is new news to me, y'all. I didn't read this article. According to the publication of Jehovah's Witnesses, after the Apostle John was told in a vision about this group of 144,000 individuals, he was shown another group. John describes the second group as a great crowd, which no man can number, out of all nations, tribes, people, and tongue. The great crowd refers to those who will survive the Great Tribulation and Armageddon, which will destroy the wicked world. Still, though, the Jehovah's Witnesses claim that this number is still literal 144,000. Wait, what? Oh, God, okay. This is weird. I didn't know this, y'all. Like, this is weird. Okay. January 2016 Watchtower explains that the increasing of the 144,000, saying that some witnesses have mental and emotional problems, are simply mistaken in thinking they will rule Christ in heaven. This is crazy, y'all. This is wackadoo. Oh my God. Okay, so in 2016, the Watchtower claims that these people were claiming to be 144,000. Yeah, Apostle Babe, this is wackadoo. So that's just a nutshell what the 144,000 of, and I didn't know that more people are claiming. And then 144,000, they also partake in the memorial. So the memorial just happened like last week, and then it's the only holiday really Jehovah's Witnesses celebrate. And it's where they pass around, they have like a service, and instead of having Easter, they have a memorial. And the only people really partake of the wine and the cracker, they pass around a cracker and wine to commemorate Jesus' sacrifice. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I ain't been to Kingdom Hall forever. I keep looking over here because I have a cat. I have a cat that is in my underwear drawer doing bad things. Y'all, like, hold on. No, kitty. No. Only on my live stream, and my cat decides, he was laying here asleep, but then we start talking about 144,000, and he just lost his mind and just decided to try to stick his paw in my underwear drawer. I don't know. My cat got issues. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The only people who actually eat of the cracker and the partake of the wine are people who claim to be anointed. Okay. So I joined the Jehovah's Witnesses when I was 13. When I was 14 years old, I went to my first memorial. And let me give you a little bit of background. I started studying, and then I had a sister that was in her 40s show up at my door, and a sister that was in her 20s. Both of these ladies in tandem would take turns based on scheduling, teaching me the Bible. They would do what we call Jehovah's Witnesses a Bible study, where they basically indoctrinate you into the religion, and you have these books that you have to study out of. The older sister, her husband was an elder, and the younger sister, her dad was an elder, and her brother was in Bethel. So an elder is basically, each congregation has a body of elders that run the Jehovah's Witnesses congregations, or the Jehovah's Witness church, however you want to put it, to these lay people out here who ain't witnesses. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to adjust my camera. It keeps going up, down, up, down. Anyway, so the older sister, her mom grew up with this other lady. For all intents purposes, I don't want to use real names. Let's call her Sister Anna. Okay. So the sister that I studied with, let's call her Sister Jane. So Sister Jane is in her 40s. Her mom had been passed away. Okay. And this is in Texas. Okay. So she knew a sister, Sister Anna, who was in, I would say in her late 60s. This is back in the 90s. So I was 14 years old, way back in the 90s, y'all. Okay. That just kind of tell you how old I am. I'm pretty old. I'm almost 50. So Sister Jane, who was one of the ladies that studied me, had a family friend named Sister Anna. Sister Anna had lived in another state. She was elderly, and one of her kids had moved back to the Dallas area. But her kids, her daughter rather, had moved to the Dallas area, and her daughter's husband was an elder of another congregation, not the congregation that we went to. However, Sister Anna, who was one of the anointed remnant, who I was told before she even came that she was coming back to Texas to be closer to her daughter, to be closer to her grandkids, and that she was coming to our congregation. So coming to a kingdom hall near you, anointed Sister Anna was coming. So everybody knew this sister. Again, her and her husband had been an elder and an overseer of our particular territory, but her husband had long since passed. Okay. So Sister Anna was coming. We was all excited. Everybody came from different congregations to see this sister because they all knew she was one of the anointed remnant. So I was curious, I learned. And then let me say something. Do they really talk about the anointed remnant anymore, y'all? Because from the publications and the apostate stuff that I've seen and things that I've read, there's not a lot of talk about the anointed remnant like they used to be. I remember in the 90s, and some of y'all old timers can confirm this. There was a lot of talk about the great tribulation and the anointed remnant and the great crowd and the sheep and the goats. And I know they changed the teaching regarding the sheep and the goats. Like I know that they new light showed up and they new lighted a lot of things. But I don't hear them really talk about the remnant a lot at all. So I was just curious because I'm not up on the stuff like a lot of you guys are. You PMOs and PMQs and you people who still have family members in it. I just want to know, put it down in the comments, like, do y'all hear a lot about the anointed remnant? Because I don't. But in my day, the anointed remnant, they were still alive. They were like rock stars. And, and then if one coming to your congregation, it was a big thing. So we heard that she was coming to the memorial. And of course, she came. Like I said, Sister Jane, who I studied with, like I said, she was her mom's friend, her late mom's friend. So that's how she knew her. They all kind of grew up together. She grew up with her daughter and her son, and they all kind of grew up together. So I meet this lady, and she's a little old lady in her 60s, in her late 60s. And she had a real short haircut, and she had a nurse / roommate / companion who was kind of a Jehovah's Witness, but then not really. Then she was studying. Look, I'm just going to be honest. I don't know what was going on. So let's call her Sister Diane. So anointed remnant Anna had a companion in her 50s that studied the Bible, I think. But she wasn't a baptized witness, but supposedly she was her nurse, okay? And she took care of her because anointed Sister Anna was pretty old. Like I said, she was in her 60s. Her husband had been died. But apparently she had this companion. So she partook of we were all sitting watching, and she was up front and we was in the back, and she was partaking of the emblems. And then afterwards, after the memorial, we all decided to go out to eat, because that's what Jehovah's Witnesses do. You go to the memorial, and then the whole congregation pretty much goes out to eat. Okay. So we went out to eat, whatever. And then afterwards, Sister Jane, who I studied with, tells me that the next time we do my study, she gonna bring anointed remnant Anna with her. Like, I had a heart attack. I was like, oh my God, I felt so honored. That fact that Sister Jane was close with anointed Sister Anna, and so she was gonna bring her with her. And so I was excited. So a couple of days later, my Bible study comes, and Sister Anna comes with me, and I ask her questions. I asked her, how did she know she was in like this Bible study went long. This is a Bible study, but then afterwards we talked. And my grandmother was there. Y'all know I was raised by my grandmother. And my grandmother was studying at the time. And my grandmother hit it off real hard with anointed Sister Anna. Like they hit it off real good. Because they were both older. My grandmother at the time was in her 40s, and they hit it off real good. Apostle Babe says those that are considered to be one legitimate 144,000 are taking the piece of one of the anointed remnant that have fallen away from the org, aka the truth. So there would be an open set. Oh, okay. I see. Okay, I get it. Boy, it's confusing, but I get it. So this sister came and we had our regular Bible study, and anointed Sister Anna liked to talk. Okay. Anointed Sister Anna, I said, can I ask you some questions? She's like, sure, honey. Ask me whatever you want. I was like, how did you know you were one of the anointed remnant? She told me that she was born and raised in the truth, what Jehovah's Witnesses call their religion, the truth. So she was born and raised in it. And you got to think she was 60 something back in the 90s. So you got to think, like, I can't really do the math. So she would have been born, I don't know, a long time ago. So she was 60 something in the 90s. She would have been born around like the 30s. Okay. So I'm assuming she was 60 something. But she wasn't that old. But she had some health issues, but she was at least in her late 60s. Okay. And she was spry, had all her faculties. And let me say, she was a Caucasian sister. And I would ask her, how did she know? She told me that when she was 10 years old and she went to the memorial, she would have visions. She would say that she would have visions of flames, and that she would have dreams and she would have visions. This is what she told me. Hello, Raktha. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Make sure you thumbs up. Make sure you like. So she would tell me that she would have visions. Now, I've never talked to another anointed remnant in my life, so I don't know. Maybe everybody is different. But this lady told me that at the age of 10 years old, she would have visions of Jesus. She would have visions of flames. She would have visions of Armageddon. And I was like, what? I was 14. I was enthralled. She told me that she was 10 years old. She would wake up in the middle of the night and she would start speaking Aramaic or Greek. And I was like, what? And her parents thought it was weird. Her parents thought something was wrong with her for the longest time. And then as she kind of kept it under wraps about her visions. And by the time she hit about 13, 14 years old, she said that she visited Bethel and turned around and told her dad that she knew she was part of the anointed remnant. And so she said that from the time she was 10 years old to the time that she was 18, that she had visions of Jesus. She had visions of Armageddon. And then she said that even still at this older age, people in Jehovah's Witnesses really don't have visions. That's what's so shocking, because we all know that, like, in Jehovah's Witnesses, we are not, I say we, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. But at the time, Jehovah's Witnesses are not really into spiritistic, like, visions and speaking in tongues and all of that. Everybody know ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't do all that. They consider that stuff like spiritism. They consider that stuff like demonic, false religion. There's no speaking in tongues, none of that. So to hear somebody tell me that she could speak Greek and Aramaic, and and the fact that she saw visions, it was something that was very frowned upon back then. And it was kind of frowned upon in the 90s when she was telling me this. And I was like, my jaw dropped. Jehovah's Witnesses don't do visions. They don't do visions. They don't hear voices. They either you mentally ill or as the devil. So to hear her tell me this was jaw dropping, and she held firmly to the beliefs. And she told me that the elders had pulled her in there when she was like 19 years old and was like, we're going to pray over you. We think something's wrong with you. They did not believe she was one of the anointed remnant. So she still held on. Even when she got married and had kids, she told her husband was an elder. And her husband actually believed her, y'all. So her husband went to bat for her about being one of the anointed remnant. They went to their congregation. They was like, are you sure? They asked her some questions. They questioned her a lot. Her husband believed her. She said her husband, when her and her husband were dating, he believed since day one that she had secret knowledge. Like, okay, here's where it gets a little wackadoodle, y'all. Here we go. Her husband believed, and one of her brothers believed since day one, that she had special knowledge about the Bible. And so they kind of kept it under wraps, and she wouldn't tell everybody. She would only tell certain friends. But as time went on and her husband became an elder, and then her husband eventually became a circuit overseer, they believed that she was one of the anointed remnant. Like her kids, her son was an elder. Her two sons were elders in different states and different congregations, and her daughter married an elder. But she held fast, no matter what anybody said, that she was one of the anointed remnant. And she told me that for years, people did not believe her, but her husband went to bat for him. And yes, good for him. He went to bat for his wife. He believed her. She would tell me that her husband felt like she had more spirituality and Holy Spirit than he did. I found that fascinating, that because of the role of women in Jehovah's Witness organization, she felt, and she would tell me this, that she felt like if she would have been born a man, that she would have been on the governing body. Isn't that interesting? Like, she used to tell us this all the time. Yeah, secret knowledge, that she felt like secret knowledge. I was like, we're going to get into the secret knowledge in a minute. I'm going to tell y'all. But she felt like, she would tell me, she would say, Kiki, I felt like if I was born a man, I would be on the governing body. And I would be like, for what she was telling me was almost damn near heresy, y'all. I mean, the scandal. Like, she would say this stuff. And then the other Sister Jane, who was my Bible study, I would look at her and be like, what? And she'd be like, and then she would tell me off in private, well, you know, Sister Anna, she's getting up there in age and blah, blah, blah. But I could tell that this lady wasn't senile, that this lady actually believed what she was saying. And when I say secret knowledge, she felt like she kind of knew things more than the elders in her congregation. So she would tell me that her husband would actually talk to her about spiritual matters and get her advice on spiritual things. Like I said, I wish I would have known her husband when he was alive, because he sounded like a really, up and up person that he really loved and trusted. And they were married for a long time, y'all. So yeah, she said that she felt like she was more spiritual than her husband. Now, she didn't really elaborate on that, because I don't know what that meant. As a kid, I just kind of took it, but then as an adult, I'm like, maybe her husband was doing some things that he should have. Maybe he thought or felt some things that may have been close to apostasy, and maybe because the way she kind of felt like, the way she kind of put it is like she had to keep her husband spiritually strong. And she was telling me, well, just because someone's an elder doesn't mean a person is spiritually strong. And she would drop, Sister Ann, anointed remnant Anna, would drop these jewels like a Jay-Z mixtape. She would drop these nuggets of wisdom that for me as a 14-year-old, I didn't understand. But as an exjw now, I totally understand what she was saying. But she would drop just wisdom. And everybody knew her in the congregation as somebody that was very wise. And she knew the Bible up and down, left and right. She knew all the publications. She could quote scriptures, quote everything. This sister really, really, really knew her stuff, And I would just hang on to every word that she said because I was fascinated by her. Secret knowledge. She told me that there are certain things in the Bible that Jehovah's Witnesses have possibly misinterpreted. Things about the sheep and the goats. She would tell me that she felt like it was kind of misinterpreted. She even told me that, and she knew she was going to go to heaven. Like, she told me all the time that she was going to go to heaven, that she was going to see me during the tribulation, that she was going to fight up there with Jesus. And she was confident that she was going to be in New Jerusalem, like confident. Like, she even described what it even looked like, Yeah, it said women are never more spiritual than a man in an organization. She sounds like amazing. She was an amazing person. She had a lot of faith and love for God and for Jehovah. And she would tell me and my mother that she felt like other people were other people were spiritual, that who weren't in the organization. She felt like her, I'm looking at my cat. I don't know where he went. She felt like the love of Jehovah and God and Jesus was universal. That's what she kind of felt. Like, she would kind of throw hints, but she would felt like that a lot of people that she used to tell me that she didn't feel like everybody was going to die at Armageddon. She felt like there was going to be some people saved. My cat scared me half to death. And she felt like some people were going to be saved. Wave, kitty. Kitty being bad. And so she felt like that there were going to be more people saved, because, like I said, at the time, it was all or nothing with the Jehovah's Witnesses. If you weren't part of the organization, you were not going to be saved. You're going to be toast. You're going to be snuffed out, like Anthony Moore said. Snuffed out like that. Now they've come back and they've new lighted certain things, or feel like at the end, if you do come to the truth at the end, that you will be saved. But this sister, anointed remnant Anna, felt that way kind of. She kind of had like doubts in her mind about that a long time ago. You know, look at the kitty. Yeah, I know he's just being bad. So she felt like everybody wasn't going to die at Armageddon. You know, she had a hard time really accepting that. And she used to tell me, she's like, I'm going to be honest, I have a hard time accepting that. And she always kind of throw hints that she kind of kept her husband motivated spiritually. So I didn't know really what that said. And then, you know, that's a secret knowledge she talked about. She always felt like, you know, that other people were going to be saved, and that she kind of felt like Jehovah's Witnesses weren't compassionate enough when it came to unbelievers, and that we should, and that she's like, she always felt like people should be more accepting, and that the church should be more welcoming of people than exclusionary, and that it should have more, and that the ministry needed to change and should focus on her focus was always the ministry. I went out in field service with this woman, and when we knocked on the doors and her face would light up, like she had some kind of mojo over people that I don't have that. You know, I'm an introvert. I'm a shy introvert kind of girl. And so I don't have that level of mojo. But Sister Anointed Remnant, we would go to stores, she would talk to people and lay out tracts. I went door to door with her, it was a wonder to behold to see her go door to door. And the way her rapport, and she was very outgoing, and the way she could just talk to people would always accept the magazines with her. Like, for a lot of people, we just don't have that gift. She had a really nice, easy rapport with people. She didn't look down on non-believers. She would tell me, she said, every person you meet, Kiki, is a potential brother in Christ. She would always say that. She would tell me, every person you would meet is a potential brother and sister of Christ. Just think about people like that. Don't look down on them. Don't try to shun them if they're a different culture, a different religion. Just look at them as being a potential brother or sister in Christ. That's what I learned from her. Many of the things I learned from her. Now, we're going to get into the companionship. Again, she had a companion, Sister Diane. Again, Sister Diane was not baptized. She would come to meetings with her. They lived together for 10 years. By the time she came to Texas, they had lived together for 10 years. Her daughter, that I met her daughter, and her son-in-law, and their kids were little. There was tension there between the daughter and Sister Diane, the nursemaid. There was an obvious tension there. I could tell, like, you could cut it with a knife. And then Sister Anointed Remnant Anna would tell me, oh, my daughter doesn't like Diane. They don't really get along. And Diane was very quiet. She was always to herself, but she was always there. And she was always kind. And then if you get her to talking, then you get to see her personality would come alive. But she would always be in the background. She would hover around, and anything Sister Anointed Anna wanted, she would get for her. She wanted something to drink, she would be on it before she even said anything. She would be looking around. Sister Anointed Anna would look around. Diane would be like, oh, you looking for your purse? Here it is. Then she would sit there, you know, she would talk to us, and then she'd be like, ow. And then Sister Diane would come in and with a pillow. Like, Sister Diane was basically, I would say, doing like wifely duties. Like, they were so much in synergy with each other that I thought it was just great, wonderful friendship. But as time went on, I could see how Sister Anointed Remnant Anna, how her family did not like Sister Diane. So then Sister Diane would come, and for the meetings, and we'd go out in field service. She was studying, and then she wasn't studying, but she wasn't baptized. And I always thought that was weird, you know. Rakda says, I never really knew an anointed person personally. I always heard others that knew an anointed person. The stories I heard, man, I bet I want to hear some of these stories. But, and then Sister Diane, she had a lot of masculine energy. She had a short haircut when she wasn't at the Kingdom Hall. She had a lot of masculine energy. She could build things. She was good with her hands. She would fix Sister Anna's, she would drive the car. She would fix the car. You know, there was certain things that we lived in an apartment, and that we would ask her for rides, and they would give us rides to the store because they didn't really live that far. And so we got to know Sister Diane a bit, especially my mom. Because again, I was 14. My grandma was in her 50s. So these women were like in her age group. These women were in her age group, and they would talk. And then I would kind of listen in the conversation, but sometimes I kind of back away because they would talk like grown women would talk. But Sister Diane, I just, I kind of got felt like something else was there. She would kind of talk about the organization with my grandmother kind of in whispers, like she wasn't down for certain things. And I kind of felt like she was just in the organization because of Sister Anna. I kind of felt like she, was in it because she was there. And I'll tell you this because what happens later on. So Sister Diane just gave off a very masculine energy. And as time went on, as I got older, I'm like, eh. And they lived together. And they lived together in a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, I didn't ask the sleeping arrangements of who slept who. One day, somebody did. Somebody came to the congregation and someone's like, oh, they're in a 1-bedroom apartment. Well, where does Sister Diane sleep? Supposedly, they had 2 beds and they had a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, and supposedly had 2 beds in the 1-bedroom. I had never been to their apartment, so I don't know. They supposedly had 2 beds in this 1-bedroom. They had 2 beds in this 1-bedroom, supposedly. I don't know. I don't know if that was true. Again, I have no way of knowing what the sleeping arrangements was, but I can tell you from hindsight, Sister Anna and Sister Diane gave off a very LGBTQ vibe. Like the way they interacted with each other, the way they acted, the way they dressed outside of the Kingdom Hall, they gave off that kind of vibe, is that they were gay. There was one time where we got into the subject of gay people in the congregation, and Sister Anna would tell me with a wink, she's like, there's always been gay brothers and sisters, but they just can't act on it. Like that's the only conversation, the only thing I've ever heard her say, is that she's like, well, they can't act on it, blah, blah, blah. But again, I just felt like, it's something there. But again, Sister Anointed Anna and Diane, they had a very loving relationship, and it was a relationship that a lot of people that I noticed, men and women in the congregation, did not have. Sister Diane doted on this woman and respected her and believed her that she was one of the anointed remnant 110%. 110%. Because I would ask her, I said, do you believe she's one of them? She's like, absolutely. She said, I believe that she is spiritually blessed. Sister Diane would tell me that she felt like she was spiritually blessed. She's like, I've never met anyone so loving and kind and giving as Sister Anna. Like she would say it all the time. She's like, I've never met a person like her. And then Sister Diane, I know she came from a rough upbringing. Like she told me that she was in foster care when she was younger, that she was in and out of people's homes, that she came from, she had a husband that was very abusive to her. And she said that she left that husband alone a long time ago, that she became seeing like a home health care giver. And that's how she met Sister Anna. She was her home health care giver. And then she started to study the Bible with her and teach her the truth or whatever. And that's how she came to be with her. And they were companions for like 20 years, even after I had already left the religion. Even before I was even in a religion, they had already been together. No, Kitty. Y'all give me a minute. I got to get my cat out of here because he is being evil. No, Kitty, no. Come on, Kitty. Child. Okay. I'm back. I had to get my cat is up here tearing up stuff like he over here just acting wild. But anyway, so they had a very beautiful relationship. That is a relationship that I mean, like I say, I was young, I didn't recognize it, but as I got older and I had a relationship with my husband, and I always would think about Sister Anna and Diane. So Sister Anna eventually passed away, y'all. And I went to my first and only Jehovah's Witness funeral. And I don't know if y'all have ever been to a Jehovah's Witness funeral before, but it was interesting. It was very dry. I mean, it was kind of like an advertising for Watchtower. Like I was like, this is what we're doing at the funeral? Like, oh, okay. I just, and everybody was there. I remember this funeral was huge. There was a bunch of people there. And everybody came to say their respects. And poor Diane, she was just heartbroken. I think she was more tore up than her kids were. And she was just, I just remember her crying and just being heartbroken. She's like, what am I going to do now? She was like, how am I going to live? How am I going to, I'm lonely. And Sister Diane, she had a daughter that weren't witnesses, but she had a daughter in another state. And so Sister Diane, like I said, she was in her late 50s, early 60s. And she's like, she was just so tore up when Anna died. She was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to live? What am I going to, I mean, she just went through it. I mean, went through it. And then I remember like Sister Anna, her family was so ugly to Diane and they wouldn't let her, and they came over the apartment and took all of her stuff and they wouldn't let her have anything. And I remember her just being so devastated and her telling Sister Jane that I studied with how upset she was. And Sister Jane was trying to comfort her. And she's like, I know. But the family, was trying to comfort her. And I just remember me just not understanding it all because I was young. I didn't know anything about nothing. But I just remember her just being so hurt that they came and took all the stuff. Um, and didn't really leave her much of anything. And so Sister Diane, she stopped going to the meetings. She fell out of the truth. We would, the elders, I went with um Sister Jane, her husband, and her and me, we all went to go visit her one time because she had kind of stopped going to the meetings and she was saying that she was really hurt over what Sister Anna's family had did to her and she was feeling some type of way about that. And so she never really got over that. Like I don't think she really got over Anna dying and I don't think she really got over being like shunned and made to feel horror and not having anything left of Anna. And it was very sad, y'all. Like I think about it now and it's sad. When I was 14, like I said, I didn't really process it or understand. But now as an adult, I could see how cruel that was very cruel. And that's how I kind of see in my mind that something was going on because, like I said, the fact that they didn't leave her with nothing, nothing. They didn't leave her with a piece of clothing, nothing. They just came and took everything. So yeah, Sister Diane had one foot in and one foot out. All yeah, those little Diane, they always see the truth for what it is. And so I felt so bad for her that they didn't leave her with nothing. Like they didn't leave her with nothing. Like I felt awful, 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 awful. And so Sister Diane, she eventually ended up moving to Florida with her daughter. Um, and by the time she left, she didn't go to the Kingdom Hall. She didn't go to the convention. I think one year we invited her to the convention, but after a couple of years, she came and said goodbye to my mother and goodbye to me and goodbye to some other people. And she eventually moved in with her daughter. And that's the last time I heard about her. And I don't know, I'm sure she's probably passed away. So may she rest in peace wherever she's at. But that woman went to bat for Sister Anna and provided her with the love and the care that her kids couldn't even provide. Her kids were not financially well off, so far that I remember. So they couldn't take care of their mother. They didn't have the financial ability to take care of their mother. And so they liked Diane when she served a purpose, but then after her purpose was done, they was like, be gone. Like after that, they didn't want to have nothing to do with her after that. And so, yeah, it's tragic. It was sad how she was treated. Because again, she was always in the background. She never said nothing. She never hurt nobody. She was always in the background. She was always cooking meals for Sister Anna. She was fixing things around the house. She helped her with her clothes. She helped her comb her hair. She helped her with her hygiene. Toward the end, Sister Anna became real sick with pneumonia. And eventually that's how she passed away. She ended up getting a lung infection she couldn't get rid of. She couldn't fight off. And by the time she was like 70 something, this is years had went by. And, even the time that she was sick, her kids weren't there nursing her and giving her medication and making sure she was okay. Her kids I didn't even see her kids around there. Her kids were calling her. They would come and visit. The grandkids would come and visit, but they weren't like in her life like Sister Diane was. Like she really was the day-to-day person. And like I said, I don't know how much she was getting paid or if she really was getting paid a lot of money. From what I knew, she really wasn't. That I was like, well, I hope she's getting paid well. And then someone told me in the congregation, well, she's not really getting paid. That department and everything they were living off of the money, the pension that Sister Anna had. But Diane didn't ask for no money. Like she wasn't out here spending this lady's money. And I think the family kind of accused her of that. But Diane they lived very modestly and very meekly, and she wasn't out here spending that lady's money. Now I know that lady had a pension from her husband and stuff like that. But Diane didn't want none. She didn't want none. She didn't want this woman's money, and they weren't living like that. They weren't out here like, woohoo. They lived in a modest one-bedroom apartment, nice one-bedroom apartment. And she wasn't trying to take her money. But I think the family tried to put that out there, that's the reason why they shunned her, because she was trying to take her money and do something dishonest. And that didn't hold water. There was no proof of that. And so Sister Diane went back, and then before Sister Anna died, she gave me this. This is The Time Is at Hand, a helping hand for Bible students. Now, this is an old Jehovah's Witness book that I have kept all these years because this sister gave it to me. This is very precious to me. It has moved with me 1,000 times, and I still have it to this day. And this is an original edition, y'all. This was made in 1912. These are one of the books. There was a series of books made by Brother Russell. And this was in a series. I learned a series of books. This is Studies in the Scriptures. This is series 2. And so there was a list of books that they had. It says the copyright is 1889. I know it's backwards for y'all. It says Watchtower Bible Tract and Society, Brooklyn, New York, USA. 1889, y'all. This is very old. It's in pristine condition. It's good condition, y'all. I kept this all these years that she gave me. And she had this, her father gave her this, and she gave it to me because she thought, she was like, I see so much potential in you. You're such a bright star. And she used to tell me that, she used to tell me all the time, I am so glad you found the truth, because she's like, we would just spend time just talking about the Bible and talking about religion and God and how she felt. And I've never read this, but like I said, I've never read this, but I've kept it all these years. So, and then there are people who online who will pay money for this. Somebody offered me like $500 for this. And I was like, no, I can't have it, because I still have fond memories of this sister. So no matter how I feel about Jehovah's Witness, I will never forget the people that I have met in this organization that have given me wisdom that has lasted a lifetime. And yes, I consider Sister Anna one of the people that I will never forget. How this little old lady would just spend so much time talking to me, this 14-year-old. And yeah, and so Rackney said all because Diane she wasn't baptized. Also, she knew the mom better than they did. They were jealous of that. Yeah, I think they were definitely jealous of the relationship that they had. But I felt like Sister Anna, the things that she shared with me and how she felt about people outside of the organization, how she was very welcoming to people and saw them that way, how she didn't, again, when I was in the organization, it wasn't a heavy anti-LGBTQA mantra in the organization. And like I said, and we had that talk, and she just felt like you could be gay, but you just couldn't really act upon it. That's how she felt. And that's how the organization has felt forever. Like I said, I don't know this lady's personal business. I always felt like she was bisexual or maybe lesbian, or even formed a love affair with somebody that it was a relationship of a husband and wife type of relationship, but with somebody who was very dear to her and that she cared about her. She would talk about Diane like she was so dear to her. And she would talk about everybody like that. Like I said, Sister Jane, who she practically knew since she was a little kid. Ever since she was a little kid, she felt like that was her surrogate daughter, and then she went on to me because she felt like I was her surrogate granddaughter, because she would see me as like a granddaughter in truth, because she studied the Bible with Sister Jane, who in turn studied the Bible with me. So spiritual, she thought she's like, I feel like your spiritual grandmother. And I felt like she was that way, and again, to have um, this book as a memory of her. It's something I will keep for the rest of my life and I will never get rid of, no matter how much I feel about the Jehovah's Witnesses. But I will always keep this forever, 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 ever. I will always keep this. I have another gift that a Jehovah's Witness, the lady I studied with, Sister Jane, that she gave me, and I'm sure she's passed away by now. Because, like I said, she was in her 40s back in the late 40s back in the 90s, and so I'm sure she's probably passed away by now. But I just feel like that, like, she gave me something and I still have it. She made things for me. Remember, y'all ex Jehovah's Witnesses. Remember when the people in the congregation would make book bags, and people in the congregation would make like covers for your Bible. We had a bunch of brothers and sisters. There was a Jehovah's Witness couple that had a whole business where they would leather bind like organization books, where they would make book bags for when you went out of field service to keep your stuff in. Y'all remember that? We had a brother and sister. They had a whole business. I wonder what happened to them, since Jehovah's Witnesses really don't do paper stuff. Everything's digital now. But we had brothers and sisters that had that. And then I remember I had a book bag that I had for the longest time, but it got ruined, but I don't have it anymore. But I had a book bag that I bought that I spent like $50, $60 on that I kept for the longest time, that I don't have. And then the sister that studied, Sister Jane, who studied with me, she used to make photo albums like from scratch. Like, she was really good at arts and crafts. And she would teach me like certain things like crafts and everything, and things that I learned from my grandmother as well. But and I still have it. She made me a photo album. One day I'll put it on camera, but I still have it in my library. I still have it. And so I never got rid of that. Even though it's tattered and torn, I never got rid of it because I felt very lucky. As like I said, I feel very lucky in an organization that I didn't experience any type of abuse, I felt abject loneliness. And I didn't have a lot of people my age, and I didn't have a lot of friends. And I just felt very lonely in the organization. It's hard to come into the organization when you're not born into it. It's tough. And it's tough being an introvert in this organization. But I did, again, had the fortune enough to meet some really great sisters, and who taught me everything that I know. Yeah, I do have good memories. And so, y'all know I got some weird memories about the overseer showing up naked at the door. Y'all know I got some really weird memories. I didn't seen some things. There were, again, y'all see my other video where I was talking about how people in my first congregation, apparently there were elders in the congregation that had like a whole like child essay ring. So I didn't know when this was going on while I was going there. So I had no idea until years later. But I just want to tell that story because I know a lot of y'all had questions. Some of y'all never met somebody who's anointed remnant, and I have had the privilege, yes, the privilege of meeting this person. That's your favorite story with the overseer that showed up naked. Yeah, that's everybody's favorite story. Like, I tell people who ain't witnesses that, and they just think that is the craziest story ever. And then knowing that overseer is probably the same overseer that was in the court documents about touching little kids is probably the same overseer. So it's just weird. Like, it's just weird stories. But I just thought I'd come on and tell that story finally. Like, it took me forever because I know I've said hints here and there, but I just wanted to commemorate and talk about this wonderful woman who's been since passed. And sorry, y'all, apologize, my cat acting bad. Y'all, my cat was cutting up. He wanted to get out, I guess, because I usually don't close the door when I'm doing videos. I use it so he can come in and come out. My cat was acting bad. You know how big my cat is? He's fat too. So he was sticking my hand, he's sticking his paw in my underwear drawer. He was in my bathroom, like picking up my rug. He was gnawing on my shower curtain. If y'all even knew half the shit that my cat was doing while I'm trying to do this video. So I do apologize, y'all. But I just thank everybody who was here. I appreciate y'all for being here. All my fellow apostates, my fellow XJWs who are going to watch this on the rewatch, I appreciate y'all. Let me know, do you know any anointed remnant? What have you heard? Did they talk about having visions? Again, I've never known anyone in Jehovah's Witnesses organization ever talk about having visions besides Sister Anointed Remnant Anna. She's the only person I've ever heard that was like bold out there with it, saying that she saw visions, she saw Jesus and angels and flames at the memorial, at the convention, during certain talks, in her dreams, from the time that she was 10 years old up until she was 20 something. Then the vision stopped. when finally she got solidified as one of the anointed remnant, then the vision stopped. So, oh, no problem. I appreciate everybody being here today. So I will come back with some more XJW videos when I think of some more stuff. Lately, I've been trying to do more videos, but y'all, something bad happened to me, y'all. So just so y'all know, my husband's mother died of cancer the other day. So I'm dealing with that. So that's why I haven't done a video in like a couple of days. I was trying to get to do videos every day. But I've been trying to get to do videos, but I've been trying to like deal with that. But yes, my mother-in-law, my kid's grandmother, who I'm very close to, passed away of cancer. And so it has been a rough couple. She died on Good Friday. So it's been a rough couple of days for me to deal with. My mother died last April. My father died a year and a half ago. My husband died. It'll be 10 years in April. And so now his mother died. And it was such a shock to us because, thank you, Kay. Thank you, everybody. It's such a shock to us because literally my mother-in-law was a active, healthy person 3 weeks ago. And then she died in a hospice on Friday. Like like she had cancer. Her cancer was in remission. She had chemotherapy. And then all of a sudden she wasn't feeling good. And then they did a MRI scan and the cancer moved from her stomach to her brain. And then doctors came in and told us basically there was nothing else that they could do for her. It was so quick, just like that in 2 weeks, my mother-in-law was gone. So I haven't known what to think. Like my kids are devastated to have now lost their second grandma. My mom died, and now my late husband, his mother's died. My sister-in-law has been an angel. Like she's taken this real hard. Like my sister-in-law is my best friend. My sister-in-law is my sister from another. My sister from another mister is my sister-in-law. Like we are like this. Like we go out, we hang out, we talk every day. Even before her brother died, my sister-in-law used to live with us for a period of time. We put her through college. Like my sister-in-law is really like my sister. I don't have any sisters. I don't have any siblings. And so, and then my mother-in-law was like my second mother. My mother-in-law was there when she wasn't there, but she was there for me when my mother passed away last April. Like losing my husband was hard enough. That was her only son. And so my sister-in-law, she has lost her mother. She has lost her brother. Her brother, my husband was only 28 years old when he died. And so it's been hard. It's been hard. My mother-in-law was 60. So she wasn't even, my mother-in-law was 60, y'all. Like, like my mind is still blown from all of this. Like I'm still trying to cope with it. Still trying to understand. I'm still struggling with it bad. But I wanted to come over here and just talk about, another person in my life. I thought about all the women in my life that have been such a positive influence. My grandmother, who protected me from this organization when I was 13, who's like, I'm going to the Kingdom Hall with you. Yeah, who didn't believe in this religion, but wanted to protect me at 13. I think about the women that I've studied with who, one woman I know for sure was in an unhappy marriage and an unhappy situation, but she still was a pillar in the congregation. I think about my own mother, who was there when my husband died, and she came live with me and helped me raise my children and be there for me when I was falling apart. My mother-in-law, who's always liked me since day one. And she used to tell her son, don't lose this one. Kiki's the best thing. She used to tell my late husband I was the best thing that ever happened to him. She's like, keep this one, please, whatever you do. She's the best thing that's ever happened to you. And he used to joke that his mother and his sister liked me more than they liked him, which in some ways, yes. He's like, my mom and my sister love you more than they love me. And I'm like, well, you know what? Hey, hey, I'm flexing. I can't help it. Most guys that I've dated, their parents and brothers and sisters have liked me more than they like them. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But Yeah, so my mother-in-law, who was always kind, who was always nice, who was always good, really, really good to my children. I don't know what we're gonna do for Christmas because I'm always used to my mother-in-law being there for Halloween and Christmases and Thanksgiving. Like, I don't know what this is going to be another year of us missing somebody like it was last year when my mother passed away in April and we went through the holidays without my mother. That was hard. And so we're going to go through another holiday without my mother-in-law, and that's going to be hard. April is a horrible, horrible month for me. But then my son's birthday is in April. So my son's birthday and my sister-in-law's birthday is in April. But a whole bunch of horrible, tragic things have happened to us during April. So I have to like kind of like keep it in perspective because I did have my son in April. You know, even though my son took a lot to get here, y'all, if y'all don't know, you hear me talk about it. My son was premature, so my son almost didn't make it here. My son was a month and a half premature. He was supposed to be born in June, and he showed up in April. So my son was in the hospital for 2 months in the hospital NICU before he came home with us. My son almost didn't make it. He almost lost his life. They told my son that he was going to have delays and all kind of issues. Baby, my son is 14 years old and brilliant and smart and talkative. And he didn't really have any issues. Thank goodness that he didn't have any issues. But my son fought to get here, like fought. Like I had a miscarriage before I had my son. I've had two dead babies. In my lifetime. And so before I had my son, I had a miscarriage, and then I didn't even think he was going to come here. And then he came early, and we thought we were going to lose him too. So my son fought to be here. He's my rainbow baby, and he fought to be, and he's 14, and he's a regular teenager that plays the guitar and wants to be in a death metal man. I don't know. But yeah, if I need to take a break, um, you have two daughters born in April. I know. Child, my sister-in-law is an Aries, and then my son is a Taurus. So, you know, April, and then my aunt is born in April as well. You know, I like I said, I took my little mini break, but again, I might. So if y'all don't see me for like another couple of days, then that's the reason why I'm not here. Like I had to, you know, my sister-in-law, she has to ask me how to settle affairs and do things because I've done this so many times now. And she's never really had to like go through it like I had. You know, with her brother, I did everything because I was the wife. I had to do the funeral. And so my sister-in-law, we're like planning a funeral and services, and I'm trying to help her with that. So if y'all don't see me, y'all know what's going on. So, but I appreciate everybody being here and all the support. I really do appreciate y'all. I don't have that many people in my life to support. Like when my mother died, I actually had a best friend, and I'll tell y'all it's a whole story. But I had somebody who I thought was my best friend, and that when I just got to tell y'all, cherish the life and the people that you have in your life because you never know what might happen. I've learned this lesson over and over and over again now. Um, and then also, I've learned that when grief happens and you're at your worst, that people who you think there are your friends will leave you high and dry. I've learned that. I've learned that the hard way twice now. When my husband died and when my mother died. When my mother died, I had a best friend and we were friends for like 5 years. And this person basically just I'm going through it. I'm going through everything I'm going through, losing my mother. My mother, we lived together. My kids were affected. You know, like my mother was my best friend, like literally my best friend. My mother was my person. She was my best friend. We were best friends in life. Like, and then to have my mother, I just wake up one day and she's gone. And then me having to go through, we lost our house when my 2 weeks after my mother died. We lost our house. And then my cat that my husband gave me, my cat died. So all of these things happened last year. That's why I disappeared for so long. That's why I was gone for like 7 months because my mind was gone. And then my best friend who's supposed to love and support me just seemed like she didn't want to hear my pain. She didn't want to understand that I have to go through a grief period and I was hurting and I was grieving. And somebody who I thought was my best friend, we don't even talk anymore now because she basically told me, I'm tired of you complaining and you need to be more positive. I'm like, I my mother just died a month ago. What do you I gotta move a whole house, a 3,000 square foot house. I gotta be gone in 45 days. My cat died and my relationship ended. And then to have your best friend tell you, you know what, I'm tired of hearing you complain. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. That's really what happened, y'all. So I've learned to be kind of like leery of people and understand that when you're going through some certain things, to be a good supportive friend is always important. To have supportive people is always important. And everybody needs to grieve in their own time and their own pace. And don't let anybody try to guilt you or shame you into keeping up a stiff upper lip. And if you want to cry all day, if you want to come to my channel and you want to cry and you want to get mad and you want to get angry, then come to my channel and cry and get mad and get angry and put it in the comments. I don't care. I don't. Yes. Wow. Yeah. That's what happened to me. I had a friend who basically told me, I'm tired of you being negative. I'm like, I'm going through grief. So yeah, that I'm having my pity party. I'm grieving. I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling left alone. I'm in this house by myself during the daytime when I'm used to having my mother to talk to, and I didn't have that. And then my kids are going through it, and I have somebody that I loved as a friend and trusted, have her turn around and tell me, you just need to be more positive. What? What? Like, yeah, you just complain and you're always negative. I'm grieving. I don't have a right to grieve. I don't have a right to feel sad. I don't it just takes time for me to come out of this. Like you don't have the patience to I guess she just didn't have the patience. And I realized I've never done anyone that way. I've had friends that have lost babies, relative. I've had people who've lost all kinds, went through divorces, all kinds of things. And I've never once told them, you know what, you just need to be more positive. And I'm really kind of tired of hearing you complain. I've never once in my life fixed my mouth or felt the heart to tell somebody that. So I don't know what she was going through. I just learned to leave people alone and just back away slowly. I Kiki back away slowly because I don't need, and then things that I've seen with this person throughout the years that I realized that this person really wasn't my friend. And as I went back and reflected, I see that this person really wasn't my friend in the first place. So I'm like, you know what? She really wasn't my friend. Like she really wasn't my friend. Other things that have happened leading up to all of that, that I see that her attitude has been like, when everything was good in my life, she was ready to be my friend. And then when shit hit the fan, she just kind of backed away certain times in my life when I'm going through difficulties. She just kind of dropped off the radar. And then when things are up, she's like, hey, I'm back. And then she wanted someone to go out with or hang out with or go drink with or go out to a club with. She was good for that. But she invites you over to the July 4th barbecue. She was good for that. But when it comes to like real deep talks and real, really emotional things, she was not good at that. And so I realized I don't need people like fair weather flighty ass people. Don't do that, y'all. I learned my lesson. So I now try to surround myself, even if it's only like 2 or 3 people, to surround myself with positive people, that people that's going to give me grace and space, and people that are going to have patience, because we all go through things. We all go through things, and so we all need a little patience and a little love. I just needed some love. I just needed somebody to put their arm around me and be encouraging. And I'm like, that's all I want from. And I told her that. That's all I wanted from you. I just need some encouragement sometimes. Everybody does. I'm a human being. I'm not a robot. I'm not going to sit here and be stoic. And then the last thing I have to say is that you have to grieve the way you want to grieve. Don't have people trying to tell you that you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't be angry, that you should just be stoic like them. Well, I went through things and I didn't react that way. Okay, but that's you. That's not me. That's you. Everybody handles grief differently. I don't expect anybody to act like a robot and be tough and be stoic, because it makes it easier for me to handle. Because really, at the end of the day, people want you to grieve that way because they're not comfortable with your emotions. They're not comfortable with your sadness or grief. They don't know how to handle it. And so they want you to be stoic and keep a stiff upper lip and don't complain too much because it makes them uncomfortable. And that's not how grief should be. You shouldn't grieve because you're scared to make other people uncomfortable. You should just grieve the way you want to grieve. And you should have friends that are supportive and understanding of that. So it is Tuesday. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And thanks everybody for listening and for being here. Like, share, subscribe, save, and put my hands in the air. I kicked the cat out. He's meowing at the door. He wants to come in. I'm not going to let him in. No, kitty, you can't come in. Not right now. But I got to get back to work, y'all. I got errands to run to today. So anyway, Bye, y'all. Thank you guys for showing up and commenting. Bye. No, Kitty. I'm not going to feed you.